You ready?
I think so.
Let's kick it.
All right. Welcome to Cincinnati NAACP Truth to Power on the Block Digital Network. I'm Nicole, Second Vice President, Criminal Justice Chair of the Cincinnati NAACP.
And I'm Joe Mallory, First Vice President. I almost called myself second. First Vice President of the Cincinnati NAACP branch and the Environmental Climate Justice Committee Chair.
Right. And as always, we are here to give you information, motivation, and inspiration to be the change in your communities. And the president of the Cincinnati chapter NAACP is Robert Richardson Sr. And as always, we want to send his greetings and well wishes from him to all of you. And we have a lot going on, locally, nationally, and we just want to, get into it if we can because we don't have a lot of time. So,
right.
Locally, we had an incident where an 11-year-old girl was tased by a CPD, Cincinnati Police officer, and she was allegedly stealing out of a local Kroger's, and he tased her. She's only 11 years old, and she was also charged with resisting arrest.
Yeah, and obstruction of justice.
Oh, obstruction of justice.
That's that catch-all. They always throw that in there when you cause them to have to do something.
Everyone gets that, and the shoplifting, right? But there's some problems with this. One, our taser statute here in, is this like for Hamilton County or Cincinnati?
Cincinnati Police Department.
Okay, well, according to our statute, tasers are supposed to be used for self-defense or to temporarily immobilize a subject resisting arrest. It also says to avoid tasers, obviously for pregnant women who are showing, and individuals under the age of 7 and over 70, which is problematic for me. I have a 8-year-old.
Right.
And you have a young person too. I mean, they play together. I couldn't even imagine, a cop pulling a taser on my little girl. And I also have a 12-year-old.
Right. And
just this young girl is 11, so this range from 7 to 70, it doesn't sit right with me at all. I saw some data where the wattage on that is like 50,000
volts.
50,000 volts, and it immediately attacks your nervous system. And from accounts that has been mentioned in the media, like when the young girl was shocked with the taser, she fell flat on her face.
Right.
And so that's an issue. And as developments have evolved, today, this was like Monday, the charges thankfully have been dropped. Our mayor called the prosecutor,
right, and
asked for the charges to be dropped on this young lady, just reviewing how the policy was not followed or for whatever his own reasons. And the officer is on like a desk
duty, restricted duty.
Restricted duty. So what are your thoughts about it, Joe?
Well, to me, it's problematic on multiple levels.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is a veteran officer.
Mm-hmm.
He's African American.
That's right.
He's 55 years old, and he didn't turn on his body-worn camera, as it was the policy when you're about to engage. You're supposed to turn on your camera.
Mm-hmm.
So his camera wasn't turned on.
Wow.
And the girl, whether it was Candy or whatever, I don't care if it was a 30, 40, 50, 60-year-old person,
mm-hmm.
the circumstances that he tased the individual over was unacceptable. Okay. If it was me or you, if somebody stole something and you say stop and they don't stop, that doesn't mean you tase them in the back.
Right, right.
So his judgment is called into question.
Poor.
So the Cincinnati NAACP, our president, had a press release released this morning on the situation. He said the Cincinnati police officer who tased an 11-year-old girl at a store used extremely poor judgment.
Mm-hmm.
And this use of force was inappropriate and unreasonable. And the Cincinnati NAACP demands that the taser policy be reviewed and revised expeditiously, and that a directive be issued by the chief, viral. Yeah. Sean King has reported on it. He's called out the mayor. He's called out Kroger's. Some of the council people have weighed in and made some statements.
Right.
There's supposed to be a revisit of one of the council people has asked for a review of the policy, the taser policy.
Mm-hmm.
So something has to be done. But, it's interesting this Citizens Complaint Authority,
Yes.
which would typically do a review and investigation,
Simultaneously.
they are actually immobilized because there was an injunction filed, by the prosecutor, and the judge says if anybody tries to do anything as it relates to the CCA and to try to do an interview of a police officer or investigate, that they will be arrested. They will be thrown in jail without bond. It says without bond.
Ridiculous.
Did he say without bond?
Yeah.
So
this was Judge Heekin.
If you do something like that, he's going to arrest you, have you arrested by the sheriff and thrown in jail without bond.
And so why does this matter at this point? So we talked about this on our last show,
right,
with Iris Rowley, and she explained the significance of this key element within the collaborative agreement where, the Citizens Complaint Authority, that is our independent board, basically where these individuals set aside can investigate the police, and it's not the police investigating themselves. And so our prosecutor, our county prosecutor, along with county judge, decided to do this permanent injunction and basically cripple this key component within the collaborative agreement and make it very, very difficult for regular citizens like our young lady right here and her family to be able to have this officer investigated, if she has concerns about excessive force or just her rights being violated. The only thing that is allowing this to move forward is that the mayor made a special request. This doesn't happen, people. This doesn't happen. So if something happens to someone or yourself, don't look for the mayor to come and ask the prosecutor to get you out or to drop the charges. It's not going to happen, okay? Right. And be very clear, Hampton County, our county, sends more juveniles to adult prison, and we have the most cases of people in prison than any other county in the state of Ohio. So it's a great turnover rate.
See, Cincinnati is a court of record. So when they go to court, they have their own prosecutors that prosecute cases. So Cincinnati Police Department falls under their umbrella. So it was a Cincinnati police officer who charged her, with, resisting arrest, obstruction, shoplifting. Yeah. So there was a charge under the city ordinances, so they would have had to go to court under the city. So the city is the one who filed the charges. So the prosecutor was going to have to prosecute it. So I'm basically saying, I guess, we want to withdraw our charges against the girl, and we want you to drop it, so we don't want you to try to prosecute it.
Okay.
So
but
if you have a powerful friend, you're okay.
Friend in high places. Everybody don't have that. So this is the thing. So now that this permanent injunction is in place, outside of situations like this that is not the norm, what do regular people do? I think that, I'm calling on the same call as Iris and many others that, we would like for our mayor to, push further and seek to have that permanent injunction removed. If you're good in with the prosecutor, ask him, request a motion to eliminate that, because we can see, regular citizens having their rights violated, and they're not having access to justice in a timely manner, and that's not fair.
Now that has been appealed. I think the city is supposed to have filed an answer to the lawsuit to place on appeal, and I think the next step is, if it's rejected, then it will go to the first court of appeals, and they'll take it from there. Okay. So we don't know what the outcome is going to be, but the collaborative agreement has the Citizen Complaint Authority, which is one of the mechanisms that makes it a powerful tool. And out of the consent decree and all of that, it's one of the few, I don't know if there are many others operating like Cincinnati, it's one of the few in the country that is an independent board. They have subpoena power. They investigate excessive uses of force, abusive force of the police department. Right. So, but they also have discretion. So the director could say, okay, prosecutor, you've asked me not to proceed with this, and you make some good points, so we'll hold off on this. Right. It's not saying that they won't ever honor the prosecutor's wishes, because they've done it in the past. They've asked the Citizen Complaint Authority not to proceed because they were dealing with a criminal issue. Right. But to do a blanket injunction and just say nothing, you can't investigate anything. If you think about it, if you have a whiff of it, you're going to go to jail without bond. Like those scare tactics, that fear factor involved, if you try to make any kind of moves, You know, how are you going to do your job and be effective at it?
Right, right.
You know, and that's part of the consent decree. You know, so there's ordinances that came out of that consent decree. But see, we have people in power who may not be totally in favor of the collaborative, because the city is the one who is party to this agreement.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and
Cincinnati.
the stakeholders, you know, are the ones who hammered out this consent decree. So we got to get back to getting that thing resolved. This is Citizens Complaint Authority.
Yes.
But this situation, I believe, now that the charges have been dropped, there will be an internal investigation by the chief with his department, and with the findings come out, I think the FOP president, Dan Hills, has come out defending the officer, which he should. He's a union president. I expect him to do that. But, you know, with the policy being that it is, if you're looking at the letter of the policy, it says anybody under 7, you know, is off limits, and anybody over 70 is off limits, but 8 to 69 is fair game.
Right.
You know, that needs to be revisited. But what the union is going to say is that he did nothing wrong because the policy says this, this, and this, and the girl's 11. So we can get anybody from 8, 9, 10, 11, all the way up to 69.
Well, that's, you know, then you have to go and, you know, investigate the situation. The girl was, he's claimed wasn't coming back or following
She wasn't
his
complying.
order. Wasn't complying. So, you know, her back was turned. She wasn't a threat. So, like I said before, tasers are supposed to be used in self-defense and, you know, to temporarily immobilize a subject resisting arrest. Some of the other options that the police officer could have taken, you know, he could have called for backup. You know, so kept the foot chase going.
Because he was off duty. I forgot to say that. He's off duty working a detail. So he's moonlighting. Yeah. You know, with his CPD uniform on, you know, making a little extra money. He could have called the officers who were on duty and had a car, you know, a marked car, come there, and they could have dealt with the situation.
Right. And Kroger's have cameras all over it, so all over.
Have you seen any of the footage?
No, I haven't.
Because, you know, he didn't have on his body-worn camera, but, you know, Kroger's protecting every inch of their property.
Their products.
So you best believe there's going to be some footage and different angles of it inside of that store.
You know, they could have, like what they usually do in these type of situations, just, you know, shared that, you know, evidence with CPD, and they could have picked her up later. But to tase her.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to Monday morning quarterback, you know, the officer. But officers have, you know, discretion that they use, you know, daily. But in this situation, who in their right mind would think like, okay, I'm going to tase this young girl because, you know, she's not listening to me. So basically, probably thinking like, she's being disrespectful. I'm not going to chase her a little butt. I'm going to just shoot her with this taser.
And it was just too much.
You know, you know, everybody should put themselves in those shoes. You know, he wasn't under threat. You know,
he wasn't.
He wasn't. She wasn't coming at him. She was walking away from him. Maybe she wasn't obeying, but she was a child.
Yeah, but resisting arrest is like when you, what I imagine is actually in the scuffle. Like, you know, you actually got the person and they're just not cooperating as far as giving you their other hand or whatever, and then maybe the other officer, if there's more than one, then they're
the police will charge you with resisting arrest if you don't listen to their order. If you keep walking, that's resisting arrest.
Okay. Well, that's if you know that you're being under arrest. My understanding is you have to be read your rights first to be under arrest. So if you're not, you know, read your rights, you know, someone chasing after you doesn't mean you're completely under arrest.
All that,
at that point.
You know, all that is out the window because
that's me being
we see people getting killed and they get away with it. So they're supposed to do certain things all the time. But
and
you know, when it comes to justice and equity, do we see it?
It's the just us system.
So think about this.
Yeah.
I said before I even knew what the race of the officer was, or the race of the child, I said, I don't care if he was blue.
Right.
It was unconscionable for an adult man to use his weapon
50,000 watts
on a young child. I'm sure he wouldn't like it if somebody would have tased his child.
No, not at all.
You know, but the thing, you got to think about this. Do you think there's some issue where, okay, he's black, she's black, he felt like she's being disrespectful by walking away from him?
You know, I can't say.
Do you think he would have tased someone wasn't his race?
That's a good question. I think it would have been some more sense of humanity, and that's a sad statement to say, because sometimes even in our own community we don't even see the humanity in ourselves.
Yeah,
and that's terribly sad, because
now he may be a great guy, but you know, this is unacceptable. You know, he failed miserably in his job in this situation.
Right. Well, moving on quickly, we have some national news, right? So something more on a positive note. Just when you think LeBron James couldn't be any greater. He builds a palace-sized school for at-risk children in Akron, Ohio. Make you want to move to Akron, huh? And according to LeBron, the I Promise School that has opened its doors to 240 third and fourth graders offers the following.
That's life-changing right there.
Free tuition, free uniforms, free breakfast, lunch, and snacks, free transportation within 2 miles, a free bicycle and helmet, access to a food pantry for their family, guaranteed tuition for all graduates to the University of Akron, and parents of the students will receive access to job placement services and assistance with acquiring their GED if they never graduate.
And that's what you're talking about, taking care of the village.
You know,
like stepping up and using your power for good.
I think the model is brilliant, and
it's not a charter school though. It's you didn't say that, but it's a public school.
Okay.
You know, and he's taking his money out of his own pocket, his own foundation.
Wow.
To make this happen. You know, a lot of people have been criticizing him. You know, his motives and all that. It's like, I don't care. I mean, he's doing good. He's doing it for the community. He's trying to uplift us,
an entire community,
people who are disadvantaged. You know, in the margins. You know, he's trying to uplift, and he's doing it right there. You know, putting his money where his mouth is. He's walking the talk and doing everything that I wish I could do.
Exactly. I mean, when you're blessed to that degree, you should pay it forward. And I think the model that he set is something that should be sought in all levels. You know, it's not a hand out, it's a hand up.
Hand up.
And it's the teacher man of fish approach in a lot of ways, because then these individuals that get their GED, they can move further and farther and be self-sufficient and take care of their families. And that's all anyone wants to do.
I'm sure a lot of people probably wanted to move into the district. You know,
Right.
You know, they had kids that qualified. I think they said it's just third and fourth graders.
Yes.
Because they say, you know, statistically, when you look at the numbers, that is the largest, you know, group that are at risk.
Wow.
You know, and if you catch them then, you know, you can be a game changer, you know, in their progress forward.
And I think it's so important, especially during times like this where, you know, hatred is elevated and violence and self-destruction is the norm. It's
But you
becoming
see,
more
the president wasn't happy with, you know, one of the things he did.
No, he wasn't. And matter of fact, you know, speaking of him, because that was a sense of sanity, but in times that seems completely insane. But, you know, speaking of insanity, our president had to open his mouth, or should I say, tap his fingers, tiny little fingers, with some offensive and racially demeaning insults from the highest office of the land. And
he's such a small man.
It's ridiculous. I don't know, Joe. Do you remember when it was an honor to go to the White House?
Oh yeah, I mean, it was hard to get a ticket to be on a tour.
Do you remember the days if the president mentioned you by name, it was historic? Now no one really wants to go to the White House. Most, you know,
they turned down, like, I don't want to go. If I won the Super Bowl, I don't want to go to the White House.
And the staff turnover, the White House staff turnover is like a restaurant, a fast food restaurant. And it seems like the only ones that really, you know, have some longevity there are have a background with Fox News. That's just a side note, but
that man in the White House now is a tyrant.
Yeah. But, you know, being mentioned by the president is still historic, just historically bad. And unfortunately, the president uses the power of the office to bully and garner negative judgment on his citizens and business owners throughout the U.S. who may not agree or criticize, you know, his views. So this is what was said by President 45 about Don Lemon and LeBron James in a tweet at Real Donald Trump. And I'm going to do this in my Trump voice.
Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm looking
look at this. Say it like this. LeBron James was just interviewed by the dumbest man on television, Don Lemon. He made LeBron look smart, which isn't easy to do. I like Mike. How you like that?
That's good. That was a good one.
You think that's good? I do a good Barack Obama do.
Right.
Let me see. This is Barack Obama. Let me see. He's like, we are not red states. We're not blue states. We are the United States of America. Thank you. God bless America.
She's going to be practicing. You're going to see her on the stage here soon with her
take
impression.
So, but someone else on Twitter had a very, very brilliant tweet, and it went like this. It read, in Trump's world, Obama's kinging, LeBron James, dumb. Don Lemon, dumb. Maxine Waters, low IQ. Black countries, shitholes. I'm sorry. Black athletes, SOBs. Black tenants, unwelcomed. Black workers, lazy. Central Park 5, guilty. Mexican, rapists. Muslims, terrorists. Indians, fake. Nazis, very fine people.
Yeah. He said that in Charlottesville, didn't
Yeah, yeah.
When they
Well,
had
well,
that-
after Charlottesville,
he? Some very fine people on both sides.
that anniversary is this week.
I haven't disliked the president as much as I dislike the one who's occupying the White House right now.
Number 45.
He's an occupier.
Do you find a pattern of insults for people of color a coincidence, or is this evidence that the president is either racist or at the very least guilty of sowing seeds of hate to strengthen bias and prejudice and further dividing America?
I think he needs to be evaluated. I don't think he's operating with everything.
Yeah.
You know, and the man lies about his lies.
Yeah.
You know, so he'll lie and play that lie all the way out, and then when they catch him, he says, "Oh," he'll flip it the other way and try to lie his way back out of it.
Right. Right.
You know, so we don't have a man of integrity in the White House, and I hate to criticize, you know, the White House and the man who occupies it, but he doesn't deserve any respect from me.
Mm-hmm.
I refuse to give it to him.
Mm-hmm.
He's not my president.
No, not my president either. And I believe in the words of Maya Angelou's, when someone show you who they are, you better believe them. And the words used to describe some of our most prominent black figures in our communities and in this country was simply, I feel like, a pathetic attempt to degrade and minimize them and their power and influence. And that's kind of like the core of white supremacy. That's pretty much the name of the game. It doesn't matter what you've achieved, how much you have accomplished. There's always someone, you know, salivating at the attempt to strip away your dignity and leverage their power. So, you know, whether it's through the justice system, where they're taking away a black or brown person's freedom for decades, and your mama is crying helplessly in that courtroom, or maybe through legislative laws that allow judges and majority white juries to acquit an incompetent officer who takes a black life. They go home and sleep peacefully while the children of the slain cry themselves to sleep at night, that same night. And I believe that bigots that believe that most or all black people are ignorant, low IQ, incompetent, and lazy is what white supremacy is at its core. And that's how white supremacy thrives. It has to portray a false superiorness to help maintain positions of power by crook or hook, and it's vital to their narrative. And when people think they are better simply because of the hue of their skin, that's when you know that the individual lack intelligence and really only have a surface level of understanding of the world and the people that lives in it with them.
And we can only hope that, you know, before we have an opportunity to get someone there who's going to represent the people and stand up with integrity and are standing in this world, you know, that he doesn't tear our country apart.
Right.
You know, we had to rise above his ignorance and try to make a change by waking up, getting engaged, and going to the ballot box.
That's right.
Because this midterm election, they're just waiting right now because midterm elections is going to be the decider. So if they get more numbers in their favor, they are really going to start tearing things apart. And they want to go after Social Security, Medicare, and they say they want to reform it. But they don't even tell you how they're going to reform it. Now, we've seen that, how they say they want to do certain things, and then they switch, that bait and switch. They'll tell you they want to do one thing, but they don't give you the details.
Right.
Kind of like, you know, we had this election not so long ago, and people were running. We had candidate forums, and they never mentioned anything about a soccer stadium. The whole time people were running for office, the soccer stadium never came up.
Well, it
But
was
then,
mentioned.
yeah, but it wasn't an issue.
It wasn't the main issue.
As soon as the election was over with, it was front and center. It was talked about ad nauseum. And guess what? They're going to have a soccer stadium.
Right.
But did you know this? FC's not going to build a Star Joe Stadium. They're not going to build it.
No. Well, who's building it?
They're going to get the money to CPS and let them build it.
Oh, okay.
See, all these promises they made, they said, well, we gave them the money to do that. So if they don't build this monument, this memorial to Stargell. They said they're going to build a statue. So now they're going to say, well, we gave them the money.
Right.
You know, $10 million should be enough to build a stadium and do the monument, right? So,
Is it?
you know the reason why they want CPS to do it?
Why is it? Enlighten us.
Because if FC would have built that stadium, they had to pay prevailing wage.
Oh.
And they go to CPS because they don't have to pay prevailing wage. They can do contracts and all kinds of stuff, put out the bid. It's a different mechanism when they build it because they're in control.
Okay. It would just cost them more money.
So I am not finished talking about it. You know, I was solidly opposed because we took a position that when they will gentrify a community, that we were against them coming in and gentrification. And I thought that we should stand on the words that we said that we were running on, right?
Right.
And that's what we did. You know, we took a position against it. And a lot of these promises that I've heard they made, they're not going to keep them all.
Right.
Who's going to hold them accountable?
Yeah, who?
It's got to be us, the community. We had to demand more of our elected officials. We hold them accountable because they push this down our throats.
And the time to do it is midterm election. Every election, like I said before, it's like Christmas to me. It should feel like Christmas to you too, because that's when you hold these politicians accountable. That's when you can tell them you're fired. That's Trump's favorite word. Or you're hired, you know, because that is our leverage. That is our power. And if you don't believe it, trust and believe other communities know that and utilize it and leverage that power. So don't be misinformed. Don't be misled into thinking that voting isn't an important tool to change the scope of your community locally and nationally. You know, we have to be on one accord. And we have to have an agenda. We have to know what we want. We have to demand it just like every other community too. We pay taxes. You pay taxes. So you pay taxes. Your resources is paying for something. So your voice is needed to say where those resources need to go. And if you don't utilize that voice, if you don't vote, if you don't make those demands, then they're going to go all the other places where you see them in other communities where they're flourishing and they're doing well while your community struggles and suffers.
Let me leave the community with this. For those of you listening out there, there's one sister when we were fighting against this stadium being built in the West End, and she said something that was so powerful I will never forget it. And we're talking about engagement and hold people accountable. She said, don't ever let anyone make a decision for you that is about you without you.
Wow. You said that before. I like that.
So what we need to do is make sure that we are at the table, because if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. We have to stand up, stop making excuses.
Right. We
need to take our power back because the power is truly with the people.
Exactly. And one way you could do that is become a member
of the NAACP.
Exactly.
Cincinnati, NAACP.com, and I cannot end without talking about the Freedom Fund dinner on October the 6th. We're going to have Senator Kamala Harris.
Woo!
It's Kamala. I was corrected. You know, we were pronouncing it a different way, but she told someone her name is Kamala.
Kamala.
Like Tamala or Pamela.
Okay.
It's Kamala. So
right,
she will be here October the 6th at our Freedom Fund dinner as our keynote speaker. It's going to be a powerful evening.
Yes.
Get your ticket now. The tickets are $75, or you can buy a table for $10 for $750.
That's right.
If you go to CincinnatiNAACP.com, you can see the sponsorship packages. You can see the tickets, and you can order your tickets online, and they will be mailed to you.
That's right.
So please support the NAACP because this fundraiser is what sustains us throughout the year. All of us, myself, Nicole, all the officers, we are all volunteers. We don't get a nickel. So the only one that gets paid is our office secretary.
That's right.
Because we have an office secretary because we want to service the community, have somewhere to answer the phones, and to be in the office when people come in and they need help.
Right.
So she works from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. every day, Monday through Friday. And we had to pay our rent, our gas and electric bill, and everything for the year. So this fundraiser sustains us through the year, and we only can be successful with you So please purchase a ticket, or if you can't make it, purchase a ticket for a friend and sponsor them, and come out and hear this powerful speaker. She used to be the Attorney General for the state of California. Might be the next
president of the United States. So
come out to the Freedom Fund dinner, and it will be worth your time. I assure you.
Absolutely, it will be monumental.
And we have special VIP packages. You know, somebody, if you pay what the VIP price is, I think $2,500, you get an opportunity for a private VIP meet and greet. You know, maybe get a picture with. So we need your support. We need membership. We need more soldiers for justice.
We need you because you are the movement.
Absolutely.
And so join us. Becoming a member of the Cincinnati NAACP is easy. You can go online to our website. You can call the office, 513-281-1900. You can come to the office. You can come to any of our general membership meetings, which is held every fourth Thursday of each month at 6 p.m. at the Community Action Agency.
1740 Langdon Farm Road in Bond Hill.
That's right. And become a member, because being a member of the Cincinnati NAACP is honorable. So I think that's all we got today. Thank you again for listening to the Cincinnati NAACP Truth to Power podcast right here on the block. And this is your girl, Nicole.
And this is Joe, and we'll see you next time. Power to the people.
We're out.